Hi, everyone. I'm Sarah Williams, and today we're at Flanders Morrison Funeral Home. I'm here with my friend, Tim Strickland. He's a licensed professional counselor. And today, here, I thought that we would talk about something that is probably on a lot of people's minds. We're here at Christmas time in the holiday season, and there are a lot of people out there that are super, super happy and excited and ready to celebrate the holidays. We see all those people out there, and they're hanging their stockings and putting up their trees and wrapping their presents. But there are a lot of people this Christmas that are sad. They've lost a loved one this year, or maybe they've lost a loved one in the past, and Christmas is just a time that is bringing up sad feelings. And I'm going to be very transparent and say, I thought about this idea. You know, Flanders Morrison is always doing these infomercials. And I thought about this idea because I'm sad, this Christmas. And it got time for me to start thinking about putting up my tree. And I kind of didn't want to put up a Christmas tree this year. And I knew that I needed to put up a Christmas tree this year. So I thought about calling you a counselor and talking about, how do people get through the holidays when they've lost a loved one?
Well, the holidays certainly can be a double-edged sword for folks who are, for the first time, having to go through the holidays with the absence of a loved one. There's a sense of loss in that. It's interesting. Some folks believe that grief and loss is a one-time event. That when it occurs, that there's just a need to get through it and get over it and move on with your life, which is encouraged because life just keeps moving. Uh, but it's not. Grief and loss is actually an event that is revisited on general anniversaries, birthdays, holidays, anniversaries, Christmas, New Year's. And during this time of year, it is often hard to deal with having to go through family events where you yourself are feeling a loss, but be around others who don't seem to be feeling the same kind of loss, and um, it, it would be an easier thing to withdraw and
Mm-hmm.
isolate and just kind of be sad by yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But that's really not encouraged.
Mm-hmm. And what do people do when they do feel like that? What are some of the things that we should do?
Okay, it's hard sometimes to talk to family about
Mm-hmm.
it because out of love and respect for them, you don't want to bring them down.
Right.
You want them to continue to enjoy it. Um, so it would be wise to reach out to a counselor or pastor or someone who's in the field that could give you an unbiased, objective ear
Mm-hmm.
to express the thoughts and concerns you have, but also can give you some good ideas,
Mm-hmm.
some creative things to do and to try to not forget someone, but to remember them more and in a better way, rather than trying to think of it as a loss, but a gain in some sort. It's easier to do if you've been able to plan something ahead of time and anticipate someone's expiration in your life than being something traumatic.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but
And
you
that's
know,
one of the things, at Flanders Morrison Funeral Home and in our past infomercials, we've talked about, one of the best things, and we talk about one of the best gifts you can give someone is pre-planning a funeral. I know with my
yeah,
mother,
yeah.
we had everything pre-planned. We had, I know it's sad and hard to talk about, but I mean, we had the casket picked out, we had the music picked out, we had the preacher picked out, we had the songs picked out, so that when we actually had to deal with this a few months ago, we came in and everything was done. And then the only thing we had not done was the flowers. And so
Yeah.
my son and I ran to the pharmacy at the flower shop, picked out the flowers, and that was really the only thing we had to do. Everything else was done. And I'll tell you, when you have someone in your family die, for someone to have planned everything out for you, that makes it so much easier. And now, like going through this Christmas, knowing that we did everything my mom wanted us to do too, that was a present in of itself.
Oh,
So
gift in
that
and of
was a
itself.
gift. Mm-hmm. So.
Well, basic human condition is actually, from my experience, designed uh, from the time we're born. Uh, the life is a continuum, and most people truly celebrate life in the hospital with the baby born and so forth, and they go about living their life. But not completely understanding that the entire continuum also includes death. And the human condition, I think, is already prepared to deal with loss as so. It's the excess annoyances, the excess stress, the things that come above and beyond just the pain that hurts from that loss that I think oftentimes makes things debilitating for family members. So you're right. Planning ahead in counseling, we always try to help our clients to anticipate the obstacles and anticipate the barriers, so you can be better prepared emotionally to deal with life as it is, without going back to old self-defeating behaviors to cope and to deal with things like alcohol and drugs. That oftentimes has a quick, easy fix to it, but it adds excess stressors on top of excess stressors later on. So
Right.
you really try to plan ahead and anticipate life, which includes death. It does, I think, benefit the family overall.
And I think too, one thing that we have to remember is that just because a loved one has passed away, it doesn't mean that we're dead. That we're still living.
Sure.
And that as the holidays come about, I have to remember that I still have my family, and I'm still alive and my family is alive, and I need to put up a tree because I still have other people in my family that are alive and are expecting Christmas, and I'm expecting Christmas, and we need to move on. My mother would want that.
I would anticipate a good thing to do would be for someone to memorialize their loved one during this time of the year by doing something special for someone else who's had a loss. And look for opportunities. And there's many at your local churches or Red Cross or Salvation Army. There are many nonprofits that you can gather the troops, gather your family around, and actually have the entire family do something in memorial of your loved one in their name.
And I think too, if you're by yourself, you don't have to be. I think that there's ways that you can be. I know,
like the church, they do the Thanksgiving.
That's what I was going to say. At our church, we do Thanksgiving together, and that was great. Just to be around friends and family at Thanksgiving. So it wasn't just us sitting at home. I mean, it would have been a big loss at our table at Thanksgiving had we been sitting there without my mother. And for Christmas, I thought, wow, it will be a big loss without my mother. So I got on the phone and called my cousins who lost their uncle the month afterwards, and I said, come to our house for Christmas. So you all won't be missing your father, my father's sister's husband. Okay, so my father's sister lost her husband a month after my dad lost his wife. So I mean, they had both lost their spouses. I said, come to our house. So my dad and his sister will be celebrating Christmas together this year, and my cousins. So we are starting a new tradition.
That's the tradition.
And so we're starting a new tradition, and my children and her children are looking forward to it. The cousins are all looking forward to it, and we're just going to start something brand new. And my dad and his sister will be celebrating Christmas together for the first time in forever. But that way, we'll be missing my uncle and my mother, but we have something new to look forward to.
Well, being alone by yourself, most people are in bad company anyway.
Yeah.
All by themselves. I'm very fortunate to have folks like yourself and my wife and a family that understands me. And if I get to be alone somewhere, I'm probably not going to do as well as I do with others who can pick me up and lift me up and support me. So I'm fortunate to have that, and some aren't. But that's where we come in. That's where people are supposed to
reach out.
Service.
Reach out. Look around you in your community. Look for those people that need to be lifted up, need to be invited in, and invite them. And if you need to be invited, ask someone to invite you. They will. You can come to my house. You can go to Tim's house.
The one thing I want to point out to you is super important, is that a lot of times folks feel lost when they have someone who's passed away, or they've had some kind of trauma or something that's difficult during the holidays that they have to recapture or re-experience during that time of the year. An interesting concept to consider is that a lot of folks don't believe that pain is useful, and pain actually can become something that gives your life new meaning. Let me give you an example. When you're suffering through something that other people certainly have experienced as well, you actually have a unique opportunity something that is, you can't buy it, you can't go study for it, you can't work for it. It's just because of your life experience that you get an opportunity to lift someone else up in that way that's unique to you. So your pain then becomes meaningful. It becomes purposeful. That in itself is intrinsic. That in itself is cathartic. That in itself is encouraging and makes the experience that you've had with your loved one that you've lost meaningful enough to boost your esteem in it and feel like this is something that is good for you to do to kind of offset the grief and the sadness.
Mm-hmm. Well, I appreciate you. And like I said, it has taken me about 7 months, I would say, to really get to where I am now. And for those people who know me, I'm not one to, be sad a lot of the time, but I have been sad,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of people have asked me, why we haven't seen infomercials and that sort of thing. And a lot of it is because I've been sad, and I didn't know what it was like to lose a mother, until this. And a good friend of mine, or an acquaintance of mine, um, just lost their father. And I reached out to her this morning and I said, in a couple of weeks, when all of this kind of fades away, I will be calling you and I will help you, because I now know what it's like to lose a parent.
Mm-hmm.
And until I lost one, I didn't know what it was like, but I now know and I can help you with this. And I can. And it is hard. And if you're about to go through a first Christmas, I'm right there with you. But I'll tell you, the people here at Flanders have been great. They've been wonderful, and it's friends like you and our community, I think too. Pembroke, the people in Pembroke have been great too. But we want to wish you a very Merry Christmas, and I know all the people here at Flanders Morrison wish you a Merry Christmas. And Tim, thank you, and I know that your patients are very, very lucky to have you, and thank you for all of your wise words today.
Sure. Thank you.